So what was your like entry point into him? What did you
The book,
grab
just
onto?
absolutely the book. I mean, the idea of the book was just such a detailed, brilliantly written portrait of this disturbed young man, and you start to understand or have glimpses into why he's behaving the way he does, and the idea of someone being able to be this charismatic ice cream truck seller who the kids love, also to be a sort of a good but not prolific worker in an electric store, to also be sort of a carer to his mother, and then have this completely other separate life. It was almost 4 different parts that you were playing, and that's something which is a kind of often seen with psychopaths. The ability to play different personas and to be charming if they need to be, or be, so it was really fun, and even though he's the most horrific, like homophobic, racist, anti-everything and everyone person you could ever think of, who's created, who's done mass murders, you start to empathise with the guy you start to empathise when you're reading the book in a weird way. You don't ever forgive him. You don't ever think it's ever acceptable at any level. But this guy who was an abuse victim and was taught almost how to get away with murder. If you've read the book, you understand what I mean. As a young kid, by his mother, the chips weren't in his favour, and if he was born with a propensity to have psychopathic tendencies anyway, that's the way in for those people. Often it's a mixture of different ingredients which can lead to someone being someone who wants to kill other people. For me, it was like part of the joy of this job, I think, is to try and to see life from different angles, and to see, get inside the head of different people and like different worlds and whatever, throughout different periods or times or social places, whatever. And this is the most horrific mindset to be in. Someone who literally takes joy and pleasure from thinking about how you could create massive acts of violence. That's like a horrible headspace. But if it's a sport, which it's not, that would be a good run to try and get there. Do you know what I mean? That's a bizarre analogy, but it was like you want that challenge to try and see the world from as different places as possible, and it was quite dark and disturbing, the research and the looking into it all, and who these people are and stuff. But at the same time, it was fascinating and kind of a dark pleasure to play someone who was so horrific. Something very far away from myself, obviously.
It's gonna be hard to get out of that headspace, though.
It was weird. I found myself tuning into TV that was the least empathy driven that I could find, because I felt like I couldn't watch anything that tugged at my heartstrings or anything that was like remotely emotionally sort of sensitive. So I found shows with no empathy in them, which were Fox News, UFC, and Shark Tank. And the whole of that, you can watch those shows and you're never asked to really care about another human being, because it's all just one sort of tone of zero empathy. So yeah, that's what I watched in the evening to keep me on a sort of subtle sort of simmer of no empathy.
So do you seek out these type of evil roles? Do
they
you
seek
like
me out, my friend. I don't think. For me personally, it's there's less design in one's career than I think sometimes people admit, and I think that goes to say with all of us. And there different opportunities arise, and I've never been like a massive horror fan, but I don't think that the different pieces which you're referring to, there are a lot of dark sort of horror things, but they're all quite different sort of genres and tones, and I feel like the story is the main thing, and I never really try and see it or read it or do it with a genre cap on, just try and tell the story in the part like as best as possible. So yeah.
You mentioned you did research. What exactly did you have to do?
Just reading, I got a stack of books that were about psychopaths or children who kill or psychopathy or sociopaths or read case studies and watched documentaries and you just bowled over when you watch interviews or with people that have committed horrific violent acts. They still have 2 arms and 2 eyes, and they can still make a joke, or they can still, there are quite a lot that there is clearly some sort of psychological disconnect going on, but there are a lot that are engaging and can sit and have a normal conversation, and that's, for me, the most frightening, is that type of, if the signs aren't there, but someone's capable of doing something like that. That for me is the most chilling to read in a novel or to watch a thing. But yeah, for the research was that basically, and yeah, trying to empathise with someone who has no empathy. It was a weird thing because most characters you play do. Because that's what most humans do. They have empathy. They can say something hurtful to someone, but they'd be aware that they have hurt them. Or they can punch someone, but they'll be aware that they've hurt that person. And if you don't have that, it's all bets are off in terms of what you can do to people, because you don't care, you don't have any feelings for anyone else. So it's dark character, but really fun to play.
Can you talk about working with Kelly Lynch?
Amazing, had the best fun. She is an absolute dream. Amazing actress, and we had just so much fun. She's awesome. We had a really sort of tight relationship in the story, and thank God it was with someone who was so much fun to work with, and it was really interesting. It was kind of how do you make this relationship believable and true, and don't judge it too much. Yes, he does what he's done, and yes, she does what she does, but there's people out there living worlds like that around the world. There's people who are, so it's all there. She abused him as a kid, but thought she was helping him. She's confused and damaged and troubled as well herself. It often is a chain of events, and you could go back and look into her childhood and see what happened in there, and I'm sure there's things that that were awful as well, and it's just this kind of really sad, just sort of heartbreaking relationship really between them, and you feel for her and you feel for them both in some weird way, I think, strangely enough.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.